She said that American soccer fans, most of them aren't smart. They don't know the game. They don't understand.
Gio.
That guy gets spot show.
Sports can take a lame gorilla, okay?
Right, did you know that Arsenal died?
These got me buzzing.
Up the toppies. It's hard to up them anyway.
I'm not even going to comment on that.
Welcome back to another episode of Footy with the Boys. We got a lot to run through, including the U.S. Olympic roster. We're going to be running through some candidates for the U.S. men's national team head coaching vacancy, potentially by the time you're watching this. If it's not a vacancy, that probably means they've kept Gregg Berhalter, and you're way too depressed to be watching this video anyways. But we will be getting in before all that U.S. National team type news. There were some games today / yesterday when you're watching this. Spain versus France, a banger of a matchup, and Argentina versus Canada. Our American Jesse Marsh going out of that one. Boys, Spain versus France, a midday game here in America. Pretty tough time to be able to really watch it and enjoy it all. But Spain go down early and then just immediately show them that they are still Spain. And Lamine Yamal is capital H-I-M, him. I mean, 16 years old with an absolute banger there. Mike, is it was that the final there? Whoever won that game was going to win it all?
No, not necessarily. But it was a banger. It's going to be better in the final. It's definitely one of the matches of the tournament. It was super exciting. The first half, at least. The second half was kind of a lull. There wasn't a whole lot going on, but damn. I mean, France hits first, and then those 2 goals from Spain, especially Yamal's, that's a piece of magic. This dude is 16. It's unreal. Never seen a player at this age doing anything like this. Never seen a player at this age playing in a tournament like this. I mean, even to begin with. And then to perform like this, youngest goal scorer in the Euros, and that goal is going to be up there for goal of the tournament, going to be on highlight reels for decades and decades. As long as Lamine Yamal is playing, we're going to see that goal.
Yeah, Nick, he's not just the youngest to score and subbed in and got a goal. He's been Spain's star player, along with Nico Williams on that other side. Those wingers have been insane. And Lamine Yamal stole the show in a game that included Real Madrid star Kylian Mbappe. I mean, is it Lamine Yamal's world that we're all just living in here at this point at 16 years old still?
Listen, he's the best player in the tournament. I mean, after watching all the amount of games that we've watched at this tournament, I think I'm pretty comfortable saying that. The dude's a star. He's incredible. And Mike said it. Like, I think we're watching the greatest 16-year-old that we've ever seen. And just to kind of be recognizing that greatness, I think is pretty important with what we're seeing. The way he's able to release his shot so quickly with so much power without that much of like a backlift on his leg, which is insane. His body control is ridiculous. The way he's able to just put himself between defenders and the ball and always keep control. His dribbling, obviously magical. The assist, magical. And the shooting, I mean, he is a special player. Definitely outperformed Mbappe, who actually played one of his better games of the tournament, if not his best game of the tournament. But still really couldn't find that finishing touch. I mean, Nico Williams has been great too. You're right, but he's just like I don't want to say run-of-the-mill starlet, but like you can't compare him and Lamine Yamal. Yamal is on a completely different level to maybe everyone else. So, hell of a player, and I think we're just seeing the beginning with him. And Spain, I mean, easily the favorites.
Another thing on Lamine, all those attributes you mentioned, but his gamemanship too. I mean, this dude knows when to draw a foul. He knows when to play off a player. He controls tempo. I mean, you'd think a kid like this would get kind of lost in the atmosphere of a match like this, but he was out there the entire match until the last 10 minutes or so, and he was dictating everything. I mean, he kept Theo Hernandez on his toes. He gassed Theo Hernandez. He was barely moving towards the end of the game, and that's one of the better left backs in world football. You can't say enough good things about this kid. I mean, so special.
Is he the best right winger in the world? Is he the best right winger in the world?
Give me another name.
Over Salah?
Yeah, I think so.
I need to see it through a full season.
Based on form?
I forget who said it yesterday, but someone said yesterday on one of the shows, and they're like, it might have been Rio. I don't know. They say Saka walks into any team in the world, and I tend to agree. I don't think he walks into Barcelona at the right wing spot. I think that's. You know me. I love.
It's a little early to say,
bro. It's just crazy to see what we're watching. Like Mike said in the group chat, because I said that Lamine in our group chat, I said that Lamine is better at 16 than Kylian was at 16. And then he said Lamine's better at 16 than Messi and Ronaldo was. And I was like, oh, that seems a little spicy. But then I started looking everything up. I mean, Messi was making a debut in a friendly. Like, I don't know. Lamine is crazy. I was looking at other 16-year-olds. Odegaard made his debut in the Champions League at 16, but Lamine was the main man for Barcelona all year. Like, I don't know. He's special, and I know it feels like to me, it definitely feels like we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves crowning him, but I think it's warranted. I don't know.
All right, let's crown him some more. The only one that's really close to all of his records for the youngest is Pele. So
seriously,
let's throw the Pele word out there and see how those comparisons always go so well for these young players. Speaking of Pele and South America, Copa America semifinal took place. Argentina versus Canada. Our friends from the north with Jesse Marsh leading them. He made some comments that he was done with the bullshit and kind of made some subtweets at U.S. Soccer for how they're ran. Comes out in this game, and Mike, he had decent amount of chances in this one to pluck one away. Did not really work out. Obviously, Argentina they had the quality. They ended up scoring, and at that point, it kind of you felt a little bit over. But they did certainly have their chances with some numbers on the break and didn't really execute as well. But I mean, 7 games in, he gets them into a final or a semifinal, and doesn't look like they had zero shot in this one, at least, right?
No, they definitely performed. They didn't get played off the field. They definitely didn't look as great as they did in the other games. They couldn't press the same way. I mean, Argentina plays so well in small spaces. They keep so much of the ball that if you try to press, which they did, you're just going to get gassed and then eventually open up space for Argentina to kill you. And that's what happened. While pressing and not being able to get the ball because Argentina is so good, you can't counterattack. That's another big thing they were missing. But the few attacks that they did work, especially early in the match, looked promising. They forced a few shots, some shaky situations. Emiliano Martinez was tested a few times and made some big saves. Credit to them. It was a good performance. They just got a little open, especially on that first goal. And when you don't have that structure, a team like Argentina is going to find the pass and eventually kill you.
Hey, America got to the semifinal. Nick, are Argentina the favorites against either Uruguay or Colombia there?
Yes, and I don't think they're going to win. I really don't. I think it's either Colombia or Uruguay, whoever wins this game tomorrow. But they have to be we're talking like betting odds. They have to be the favorites. Not only, I know he hasn't looked great, but they have one of the greatest players we've ever seen, arguably the greatest player we've ever seen. Definitely the greatest of our generation in Messi, obviously. But also all these guys have just been there and they've done it before. And I mean, Martinez is a different man with Argentina and he's good with Aston Villa. So, yeah, they have to be considered the favorites. They've won in big games before with this core group. But I don't think they're playing better football than either of these two teams in Uruguay or Colombia. And I would bet on the underdog in either of those guys when we get to the final.
Yeah, I think it'll be hard to stop Colombia in a final here. It'll be a fun matchup to see, but Uruguay is not gonna be a small test for Colombia here. It's gonna be a tough fight tomorrow. Well, boys, let's get into another summer competition that the U.S. will be able to compete in and hopefully do a little bit better than they did in Copa America here. It is the Olympics. The first game will start off against France in our group, and it will be 2 days before the opening ceremonies, actually. This is our roster. Here we start with our goalkeepers. Patrick Schulte, who is with the Columbus Crew, had a great season last season, continues that form into this season. He'll be competing with Gaga Slonina, who is at Chelsea, went to Lupin in Belgium and got a lot of action, I think would be the nicest way to say it, is Lupin kind of sucked. And so he got plenty of experience with some shot stopping. It'll be interesting to see who starts there. Patrick Schulte, obviously in some great MLS form in front of kind of that American market, and Gaga Slonina has kind of been anointed for a while as that next keeper up. So not sure who would start there. Moving into the defenders, you have Maximilian Dietz, who's at Greuther Fürth. He's there with Julian Green. He's been pretty good in some of the camps. Nathan Harriel from the Philadelphia Union. He can play really any of those positions on that back line. So as you guys might notice, it's an 18-man roster here, boys. 18-man roster is wild.
Crazy.
So certainly some versatility is important there. Miles Robinson is the next player on this list. He is our overage player from FC Cincinnati. A lot of talk about Miles Robinson being part of this. Pat Noonan, the coach for Cincinnati, was not too pleased that he was an unused substitute in Copa America, and then is also being taken away for another 4 games of MLS season to the Olympics. But he said he's not going to turn down somebody's lifetime chance at this. So shout out to him. That's a good coach move. I think also in the MLS, it gets a bit harder to say no to the U.S. team here. John Tolkien is a left back, right back. We'll see how he does. He's from New York Red Bull. Caleb Wiley, who, Mike, as you pointed out before the pod, just made a move to Chelsea, $11 million there. Going to start off with a loan at Strasbourg. A good left back, and also kind of play that left wing back or left mid even. So some versatility there for sure. Certainly wants to make a mark there as he goes into his European season. And then finally, rounding out our defenders is another overage defender, Walker Zimmerman with Nashville. Again, plenty of experience with Miles Robinson. So that pairing, I think, will be a good thing at the back. Then we move to the midfield. Gianluca Busio from Venezia. His teammate there at the other end of the midfielder list is Tanner Tessman, also at Venezia. Tanner Tessman, rumored to be potentially going to Inter Milan. No comments from him on that. He says he's just focusing on the Olympics. But a good pairing there. Benjamin Cremaschi from Inter Miami, the teammate of Messi, makes the roster. He is a full cycle below the age for this one. So he could play in the next Olympics. That's how young he is. Damn. Only other players that have really done that are Freddie Adu, Landon Donovan, Josie Altidore. It's a small list. I think only about 5 players have ever done that. So he's certainly breaking through some barriers here in terms of age. Georgi Mihailovic is our third and final overage player coming in from Colorado Rapids. Don't feel strongly about this one just because there are some better options, I think, or at least close to good options at the same age, like Diego Luna. We'll get into that. And then Jack McGlynn rounding up those midfielders from Philadelphia Union. We move to the forwards. It's an interesting one here, boys. We have Paxten Aaronson, the youth U20 CONCACAF player of the tournament about 2 years ago. Taylor Booth, who is his teammate now at Utrecht in the Netherlands. And then we have Duncan McGuire, the big man up top from Orlando City. Kevin Paredes, who's at Wolfsburg. He's going to be that pace and the star attacker out of this group. And then you have Griffin Yao, who's at Westerlo, who his teammate Brian Reynolds also not released by Westerlo. But Griffin Yao is allowed to go. Then we have our alternates, Josh Tencio, Jake Davis, Joanne Gomez, and John Pulskamp. Boys, I think that the biggest thing about this, it is an 18-man roster, but the biggest headline, anything about the U.S. Olympic squad is about Diego Luna, the Moon Boy, not being included this one. The day that it was announced that he was not included, he goes out, gets 3 assists, 1 goal. He is third in all of MLS behind just Lucian Acosta and Lionel Andres Messi for assist leaders in MLS with 12 this season. Is that a U.S. stylistic thing where we just don't like that type of player, you think? Or where do you think Diego Luna is missing out on this one? Because in terms of talent, it seems like he could fit in there pretty nicely there.
Yeah, I've heard there's some attitude issues, maybe some personality issues that comes with young kids. But I don't know how much there is to that. I'm sure you could speak more to that. I think it's just more than anything, it's the 18-man roster. I think he's a very gifted attacking player, but also just a very one-dimensional player or maybe not one-dimensional, one-way player. He's only attacking, where I think every other guy has maybe some higher two-way potential, if you want to put it in those terms. So it sucks for him, obviously. He did turn down the alternate role, is what they're saying, which I think also kind of shows some of that personality issues. Like, oh no, I'm too good for the alternates, or fuck you guys, you didn't pick me, so I'm not going to do alternates. It could just be that he doesn't. I don't know. That's how I see it, anyways, because he definitely would have accepted if he got put in the 18-man roster, in my opinion. So I'm not really that torn up about it. I might watch the knockout Olympic games. I'm not gonna be too locked in on the Olympics this summer with this roster. But I mean, end of the day, I guess it sucks for him.
Yeah, I mean, I think I haven't heard anything about really personality issues with him. I know he had some bit of disagreements in terms of how to play with the coach, and he is a more creative, kind of free-flowing player, and obviously in certain systems that's not going to be exactly what a coach wants. I do think that with the alternate thing, you're just missing 4 games of an MLS season that you are absolutely popping off, and you're playing with a really good team in Real Salt Lake and putting up numbers. So I feel like you don't necessarily want to sit on a bench in Paris and kind of stagnate your MLS season while also not really playing in the Olympics. So I do see from that point just saying, hey, listen, if I'm not going to be playing, I don't want to leave my team for 4 games. Mike, the other big kind of concern with this squad is there's only one striker in this squad, Duncan McGuire from Orlando City, and he's obviously young to be in this squad. It's a U-23 based squad, but the only striker, you have options like a Ricardo Pepi, who's still age eligible. Haji Wright got turned down by Coventry City. I don't know about Brandon Vasquez, if he got declined by Monterrey or what happened there, but it seems odd to have just one striker. That's a place that, I mean, looking at France and Thierry Henry, what he did, brings in Mateta, brings in Lacazette. That's where you kind of make that difference of you need somebody who can score. For the U.S., we don't get that. Pepi was not released by Ernie Stewart, a U.S. men's national team former player and the former GM of U.S. Soccer. Is that kind of a kick in the groin from Ernie Stewart to not help us out a bit? Or do you think it's up to U.S. Soccer to find just other players to put in at that striker position now?
I don't know if it's a kick in the groin. I mean, the dude's got to do what's best for PSV. That's his job now. Would it hurt if Pepi plays a few more games? Probably not, but he's got to prioritize his club. I get it. Yeah, you got to get creative here. I mean, if Duncan McGuire is firing and stays away from injury, you can do it with one striker. Usually you don't need to sub a guy out at that position. Maybe they'll get creative. I don't really know that much about this team. Benjamin Cremaschi, attacking mid. Can he play a little higher up? Can they get crazy with the lineup? I don't know. We'll see.
I do like that's a crazy take. Benjamin Cremaschi at the 9.
I know.
I do think
the false 9 might be more of the usual answer there.
I get the whole, like, you know, France brings in Lacazette and Mateta. Well, France has guys to bring in. Like we don't. I mean, Haji Wright would be the option, but for this team, he would be a cut above. But is he really a difference maker in the Olympics? I don't know about that. So this team is structured to play a certain way, and that's, you know, Big Dunk to kind of have people play around him. Like you said, Paredes is going to be the star of the show in the attack, and probably rightfully so, and Paxton's good too. So I think it's going to show that our attack wings. Yeah, but I think it's going to be Aaronson and Paredes, right? Opposite of each other.
I think you could see Paxten at the 10, Taylor Booth, and Paredes out wide. Griffin Yao also did score against France in our most recent game against them. So
I think if I had to say anything, I'd say Paxten, Kevin, and Duncan are the front 3, and then something in the midfield. Because there is creative guys in that midfield if you're looking at it just how it is. But anyways, I will say on the midfield, I know Tracy shouted out Cremaschi. I've always liked Gianluca Busio a lot. I think he kind of got passed up when we had like this influx of Musa and Adams emergence and all that stuff, and now Gio. But I always like the way he played with the men's national team, and he's kind of like a less physical Musa in my opinion. So I've always liked the style of play, and I hope he gets a lot of minutes and plays well.
I did shout out Cremaschi, but I also don't know if he should be in this team. That's like the one guy who I think that was kind of a media pull. Like, oh, he's got Argentina dual nationality. Oh, he plays with Messi, Inter Miami. Let's put him in the squad. I don't know what he's done to really deserve to be there.
He does make some very good attacking runs from the midfield, which do get pointed out because he's playing with Busquets and Messi, that those always work out pretty well. Don't know how much it's going to work out with Djordje Mihailovic pulling the same strings, if he gets those passes or if those runs really matter. But, I mean, he was with the senior team for a camp, so I don't have any big qualms with that one. He's a versatile guy, but yeah, certainly a young player. So we'll see what that starting lineup looks like. But you'd imagine Busio and Tessman with playing at Venezia together, you'd try and run with that chemistry.
Yeah. Chemistry, yeah.
You go them two and then Georgie. I think that's the midfield.
I think, though, maybe Thierry Henry shows his aura in terms of recruiting. He gets Crystal Palace to release their player of the season and Lacazette as well, whereas we can't get Haji Wright from Coventry City or Pepe, who's not even the starter at PSV, to come. So
but
maybe
those guys
get some aura.
France is going to put out a good team. They're hosting.
Yeah, they're hosting. Listen. All right, we have the U.S. Youth National Team, U-23 team, whatever you want to call it, going to the Olympics with that squad there. But we do have, hopefully, some news coming that Gregg Berhalter will be out of the U.S. men's national team, and we need to figure out who will be that next manager to lead the U.S. team forward. We have a World Cup in 18 months. Need to make sure we get that right. It is a home tournament. If it goes like our last home tournament, the one that's still going on that we're not playing in, it's not going to be great. So, boys, they're going to start
18 months?
Yeah. Right?
What?
June of 26.
No, it's 24 months.
Whatever, brother. That's close enough.
December. No, God, no.
I was saying Qatar timeline, you know?
Let's not have a
about
Qatar World Cup. Thank you.
December World Cup. Anyways, let's get into our U.S. men's national team manager options here, boys. I'm going to start with 3 different categories. I'll list off the options in there. You let me know what you're thinking of them, which one sounds the best, and if you had the choice as Matt Crocker, JT Batson, who would your choice be for the U.S. men's national team coach out of that group? We're starting with some that are probably unlikely, but, I mean, it seems like these ones you couldn't go that wrong with. We start with, of course, the man, the myth, the legend, Jurgen Klopp. I mean, arguably the best coach in the world, coming away from Liverpool because he is burnt out. Maybe he wants an American lifestyle where he's not being seen every street corner, can go to grocery stores by himself, just like Messi did at Publix, and live that American lifestyle where it's not all the focus on soccer. National team also not quite the burnout as a club scene is. And the U.S. would probably pay pretty handsomely because you would get some sponsors for this one. Probability? Awfully low, boys. He probably is not going to be coming to the U.S., but we can dream. The next option, Jogi Löw, won the World Cup with Germany, famously scratched his balls and then sniffed it. And we might just need that type of a crazy character to lead this. Yeah, you got the motion right down there, Nick. It makes me question if you've done that before yourself. But I mean, he's obviously a proven winner at the international stage. If you were to say no to him, that would be a little wild. I think the one qualm with him would be that he hasn't coached in a while, and I'm not sure how great his English would be. But I mean, certainly in terms of accomplishments, in terms of international accomplishments, you can't get much better than Jogi Löw. And then finally, the third option of these unrealistic, but also would be amazing choices would be Mauricio Pochettino, who obviously brought Spurs to a Champions League final, just got Chelsea to kind of shoot up late in that Premier League season with those young players. So has experience with some young players. And he's just a huge name. He's coached the Stars. He's coached PSG. He's coached the big teams with all the big players. I don't think the U.S. men's national team players would be any type of ego that he could not handle here. Boys, out of this, which one is maybe the most realistic, and which one is the one that, hell, you'd do absolutely anything for? Mike?
Most unrealistic is Pochettino. That dude's had enough of American bosses. No chance he's coming to work for the US Soccer Federation after Todd Bowley. Get out of here. Stay away, Maurizio, for your benefit. I'd go with Love. I want the German man. He's done it on the international stage. He is an international manager, which is a huge thing, something I'm pushing for. And yeah, he hasn't worked for a while, which is the more concerning thing. I'm not super concerned about his lack of English. You can bring in a translator. If players are refusing to listen to a coach because he doesn't speak their language, well, fuck him, because that's a terrible reason. That's my guy.
All right, Nick?
Yeah, I think I'm the same. I like Love the most. Poch is definitely the most unrealistic. I think Klopp would come before Poch is. I don't know how he made it on this list, if I'm being honest. I don't think he still has like the juice, you know. At least Klopp is burnt out. So Love would be my guy. He's proven he can do it. And yeah, I think his English would probably be fine. I think they speak a decent amount of English over in Germany. And born post World War II, so officially not a Nazi.
You know, that's something to consider, I suppose.
Great success.
That's another box to check, bro.
Not a Nazi.
I mean, I certainly think if I could choose any of these three, I'd go with Jurgen Klopp. He's arguably the best manager. I will say, taking any bit of realistic consideration, and it probably does drop down to Shogi Love, but, you know, Jurgen Klopp, make him say no, I think. You have to call him and just say, hey, listen, what does it take, brother?
Coming.
Yeah, you have
What does it take?
He's not coming.
What does it take?
He's
gotta
not
call
coming.
everybody. Call
He doesn't,
Pep.
pick up the phone, bro.
We should be on the phone with anybody who will answer.
Anyone who'll answer. Maybe that's
That is more realistic than Poch.
Well, the anyone who will answer is more of our last category, but we have one more category before we get to there. This is the somewhat proven, decent manager, but not the big names. We start with an American who is an American, but also has been abroad basically his entire life, is Pellegrino Matarazzo. He started with Julian Nagelsmann at Hoffenheim, was an assistant there, learned his way of football, went to Stuttgart in the second division, Bundesliga 2, gets them promoted, stays with them another season before then being let go. Then he goes over to Hoffenheim, where they are narrowly escaping relegation. He gets them to safety. And then the next season, he gets them to 7th place and Europa League. Now, the question would be, does he want to leave Hoffenheim, who are now in Europa League? Some would say you don't get much better than that in terms of Hoffenheim, but also, is there some type of American draw that could bring him in? Then we move to David Wagner, another American with some German heritage here. He actually coached Norwich City last season with Josh Sargent, so he knows how to use that striker. Got them to the championship playoffs, but lost 4-0 on aggregate to Leeds, so disappointing end to their season there, and then got dropped by them. Also brought up, I believe, Huddersfield or Reading. Huddersfield, I believe,
Reading?
to the Premier League. Reading?
Reading?
Yeah, I don't know. I said that. I think it was Huddersfield, though, that he brought to the Premier League in 2017. So he has some experience with bringing up some good teams and making the most of maybe not the crazy amount of talent in the championship, but performing well. And obviously has that experience with Josh Sargent. And then the last of this is Herve Renard, who, I mean, let's just bring up the picture. And if you're not listening, you're just audio. It's just he's a very sexy man. Coached Saudi Arabia to a win versus Argentina, the only team to beat Argentina in the most recent World Cup, a 2-0 victory there. But that's not really all that's on his resume. He's with the French women's national team right now, but he is a coach that has had massive success in different places, especially AFCON, winning 2 AFCON titles. One was Zambia, which is a crazy Crazy thing to do. And then also Cote d'Ivoire. I mean, he has won on the international stage. He says he wants to go to a stop at every continent in terms of coaching. So could certainly be a destination that he wants to go to for the U.S. Currently with the French women's national team, like I said, through this Olympics. So would have to wait a little bit until he's out of contract. But then not a bad option. Mike, I'll go back to you again first. Out of these three options, who is your lucky winner?
Give me Herve. Give me Renard.
Herve.
Same reasons. International guy. I want an international guy. I don't want a club guy. And wow, that dude is a looker. I mean, look at the smolder on this man. That dude's selling tickets. That dude's getting a whole nother involvement with the fans that we don't have currently. So yeah, sign me up, Herve.
Nick, could you be the Taylor Swift for U.S. soccer?
Oh, that's hot.
Well, you don't think Gregg's got the sex appeal for the job, Trace?
No, not enough hair, not enough muscle,
That
not enough anything.
ball sack head.
Yeah. Listen, it's Herve. I'm with Mike. Everything you said. You want an experienced international manager, and he's the guy. I think he is my dream guy because there is a world where he becomes the U.S. men's national team manager. There is no world where any of the past three guys we mentioned becomes the U.S. men's national team manager, at least for this cycle. I could see him taking the job. In which case, I'm putting all my eggs in this one basket. I want Renard real bad. I think he'd do a great job. And he'll leave after 2026, and that's fine. Let's get a new coach for every cycle. That's what competent federations do. So, all in on Renard. I would want him. That's my pick.
If you're not already in on Herve Renard, search up his halftime speech to the Saudi Arabian team. It is wild. He also speaks English perfectly. So, although the other two have some American in them, this Frenchman, he can speak English mighty fine and make you run through a wall as Gregg Berhalter thinks he can do with these players. Herve Renard might actually be able to. So we have Jogi Löw of the probably unrealistic, then Herve Renard of the semi-realistic, and then the ones that are maybe more of what USSF are going to be looking at. We have some MLS coaches and some people with some experience in the States. We start with Steve Cherundolo. He's the one that's been rumored quite a bit with this U.S. job. He's at LAFC currently. A lot of LAFC fans don't really want him to leave. The U.S. fans don't really want him to leave either because although he has won an MLS Cup and a Supporters Shield, he's also lost in the MLS Cup final and lost in the CONCACAF Champions League. So he's lost some big games, and he lost those games due to some tactics, but he also has won quite a bit in MLS with admittedly a very good squad. So it's a interesting situation there. Don't feel that positive about it. The more positive I feel about an MLS coach, it would be Wilfried Nancy. We mentioned him slightly in the last episode. He is the Columbus Crew's coach, had some brief experience at Montreal where he really picked them up out of the gutter. And then the second he left, they dropped back down to the gutter again, kind of showing that impact there. Same thing happened with Columbus Crew. The second he came in, they got picked out of that gutter and immediately win MLS Cup. Next season, they're in the CONCACAF Champions League final. They lose that final. Guess according to food poisoning by some of his players, he said, no, I take full responsibility for it. Let's not blame anything. Gregg Berhalter, I don't know if you know, but that is called taking accountability for a loss. So he is certainly a decent manager option if you're going MLS. Hugo Perez, he's a former U.S. men's national team player with 73 caps. What a valiant picture of him playing right there. He coached El Salvador and a lot of the U.S. youth team, so he knows a lot of the young American players. El Salvador, if you guys can remember World Cup qualifying, got some decent results against the U.S. with their best player being Alex Roldan, not the vibes guy from the U.S., the worst brother of Christian Roldan playing for them. So he's been doing a decent amount.
It's wild
with not a lot.
It's wild this guy was playing for the U.S. at 55.
Yeah, he does look wildly old there. I need to know what age that was. It's gonna be like 21. It'd be wild.
Man. 19.
the final one with an aura quite better than really any of these options is Thierry Henry, who is the current French U-23 coach. We've mentioned him with the Olympic roster and what he's able to do with getting players released from the clubs. I mean, this man got aura like none other, Nick. But in the MLS with Montreal, didn't really work out too well. His coaching career is not really taken off too much. But in terms of American exposure, he played at New York Red Bull. He works for an American TV company in CBS. There's a lot of connections with the U.S. here, and he is a gigantic name that obviously knows quite a bit about football. So we have Low, Wilfried Nancy, Hugo Perez, and Thierry Henry. Who would be your choice of these bottom four?
I mean, I would pick TD, but if Gregg gets fired, Steve's going to get the job. So everyone just prepare yourself mentally for that.
Please no. Please no. Mike, no Steve Cherundolo on the board. Who are we going with?
The sexy hire would be TT. I mean, that's a good hire for publicity reasons, but he should be like brought into the fold as a marketing piece, not as a head coach. If I had to pick between one of these guys, probably Nancy. But this is really scraping the bottom of the barrel, in my opinion.
Yeah, honestly, I think at this point, these bottom four, you wouldn't necessarily have a home run. You'd be kind of shooting and hoping.
You're just not at my level.
Yeah, no disrespect. But Wilfried Nancy, I think, would be, my best option as well. I would worry about, he's a young manager that has a very intricate, beautiful way of playing football. But that's not necessarily how the U.S. men's national team or how international teams in general really work, is you don't really have that intricate of systems and able to play and learn every single little detail to play that well. So maybe a little too complex for the international game. But boys, let us know what you guys think. Who you think if we did not mention. I have seen some shouts for Graham Potter potentially for the U.S. men's national team. There's a lot of names you can shout out there. Make sure to put them in the comments so we can see them. But boys, why don't we get into our comments from our previous video, a little Footy with the Boys mailbag here. We start from at Lan Andrew Jack. Ian, that is an I, not an L. Ian Andrew Jack. Could it be, and hear me out on this one, could it be that the Team USA just isn't very good, Mike?
Hey, that's kind of what I said after the Colombia defeat. I said something along the lines of, these dudes think they're a whole lot fucking better than they are. And they sure act that way. And they have acted that way. And the media's told them that they are. And the fans have too. Golden generation. You're so good. I love you. And then this is the type of performance they give out. So there is some truth to it.
Mike was just quoting flags right there.
I love you.
Those are my quotes. I think Nick, even your comment from this video is talking about how it's not the golden generation and saying it's supposed to be a golden generation. This is not a good team. You have some good players, individuals, but it's not a good team, and they haven't shown to be a good team yet. But let's get into the next one, Nick. Here it is from at John Wilson. I'm not reading it, some numbers at the end. I'm with you. If Gregg's in, I'm effing out too. That is to Mike's comment on it. Nick, are you also out? Mike's already let us know.
I'm barely even in, bro. Shut up, Colombia. I'm barely in now. Listen, everyone on Twitter, all the big USA accounts have been saying the same thing. Like, we need unity. They're saying the pressure's working according to their sources in the USA camp. It is solidarity season, boys. We united front. We're all Gregg out. We're going to keep the pressure on until he gets fired. And if he doesn't, I'll still have fun podcasting. So.
And if he is already fired by the time you're watching this, yes, get in there, lad.
You're welcome.
And if he's rehired,
I'm sorry.
We need to play some Coldplay. Boys, this next one is a bit of a long one. We have an essay really here. It's from 1972 DSRAI. Blaming the ref for the Uruguay game is pure sour grapes from U.S. fans. You need to win the game. but never looked like even scoring. Expectations are also crazy high for a CONCACAF nation that plays bottom-tier teams most of the time. Then there's all the moaning about Uruguay's tactics and gamemanship. That's what they do. Learn to deal with it or go home with your ball. You deserve to go out if you can't even beat Panama. I mean, yeah. I think we agreed with all that. I think that's what we said, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know if I said something to defend this clearly Uruguayan person. So I don't, whatever it is, I apologize, sir. But your rant is more or less saying what we said. So they did not deserve to go through. That being said, the refs suck. I think we can all agree. They've been horrible in Copa, just as bad as the turf has been. The refs might have been worse. So thank you for commenting, brother. Keep coming back, and we'll keep shouting you out.
1972 Diaz right. I see that Liverpool badge in your little profile pic there. How are the refs this season?
Let
me know. What they do for you?
Maybe that is what triggered him talking about the refs, and he's over here talking about basketball with Arsenal here. So
he's got a fucking 1,000 stare thinking about refs.
What else? He is spitting on all this. This is pretty much what we said, word for word, that the U.S. just sucked. We can't complain about refs, and if you can't beat Panama, you deserve to go home. So
that's facts.
I mean, shit, he kind of got it on the top. And then finally, Nick, we have from Julian Cyanez, 1676. Bro, is Nick the Cobra Kai guy? You got good here, brother.
Was just so out of pocket. It was just completely unnecessary. Julian, I thought you were my guy. I thought it was you and me. I guess not. It sucks to suck. But hey, worse people to be compared to than a TV star. I'll take it.
That's certainly a way to take it. A TV star is the way to go. Let's get side by side of that one with Nick. Nick, you want to give us that facial expression?
I don't even know if I
stare off to the right. You got to stare off to the
right.
That's
all I.
Nope, other right.
Wait, my right?
Yep.
I get it.
I mean,
you're pretty close.
I mean, Julian, you're not far off here.
Yeah.
Listen, I think 1,000 subscribers, I show up with a red mohawk.
All right, you guys heard it. So make sure to subscribe. Keep commenting so we can keep responding and do these mailbags. Let us know what questions you have, what you think our opinions are on certain things, and we'll make sure to respond to them in the next episodes. We are going to have you guys covered with the Olympics coming up, with the Copa America final, semifinal for the Euro and the other Copa America one, as well as, of course, Gregg Berhalter. The decision is coming. It is imminent. It may already be here when you're watching this, and we are going to have all the reaction to it. So subscribe, like, comment, and we will keep you updated on all of it. Nick, any final thoughts? Cobra Kai.
Colombia, Uruguay tomorrow, baby. Vamos Cafeteros. We're almost there, bro. We're one game away from a final, one game away from glory once we're there. So big one tomorrow. Make sure to tune in. Stay in those YouTube comments. We appreciate all you guys talking in there, even if you're talking shit about me. So we appreciate it. We'll continue to do these little mailbag things when you guys get some good stuff in there. And we'll catch you next time.
Mike, bring us down, then bring us up.
Uruguay, Colombia, tomorrow. Vamos, Capateros. Vamos, Albiceleste. Let's go, Argentina. I want to see that final.
Messi to get another goal potentially. Maybe Jesse Marsh is the key that Messi needed to get him going. But we will have it all covered here on Footy with the Boys. So subscribe. Until then, peace.